all in every race, you can then subdivide the hatred. That's very telling, though.
Aren't humans grand?
Because it's such a ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
No, if you just lay it out, if I put it out on a banner, what people were doing, just children speak.
Right.
Do you think it still exists?
No. Yeah. Yeah, I do. Yes.
I think it's gone in the closet, but it's...
I don't think it's gone in the closet.
No, meaning that it's become covert, where on the outside a lot more people are saying that's not right. But a lot of these people I see saying that's not right. I know personally the kind of shit they say.
Yeah.
And I see it in some of my best friends sometimes. It doesn't make me hate them.
Right.
It doesn't. But I'm aware of it.
Well, I'm incredibly racist.
This will be my last video.
I think in a past life, I was probably a southern plantation owning white man who saw or created me.
Sorry. We just paused that. Sorry.
We're on race.
Race. Is that how you were talking before you beat the girl up at Howard University?
Yes.
At the cotillion?
A cotillion is one of my friends' mom.
Cotillion.
The cotillion, indeed. They're lovely girls. Race is... I'm having a lot of complications with race right now. Because...
What's complicating you? What's complicated right now?
Well, the systems... It's a system.
Well, yeah.
And it's built intrinsically into...
It's in the fiber.
America as a system, right? And so in that system, on the totem pole of, I guess, people worthiness, however that works out, right? With white men, rich white men on top, I am very low on that thing, right? Only I'm clear that as a human, that doesn't have anything to do with my worthiness. Yet there's a whole system of life that actually operates unjustly and unfairly. Life's not fair. That's also built into the whole thing, right? But life already gave us that. Let's just deal with that point. Like, can we not add all these other fucking layers of all this shit, like black girl, titties, brain? Oh, come on. Like, who put that together? That is not intelligent design. Being from Chicago, and I went to private school in Chicago. I went to the University of Chicago Laboratory High Schools. Big up, you high. So it is this progressive, it's in the middle of the only integrated part of Chicago. I guess some other parts might be integrated. I don't really give a shit. But we were. At least we were. I don't know how it's working out now. But I was on the newspaper. And this is a school of 400 kids in the high school. It went pre-K, and you could stay at the University of Chicago forever. Some people would just be there. But I was the new kid from the high school. I come from private school, from public school, who had a scholarship. And I was on the paper. And I remember being in the journalism office, and I was an editor. And, it was Negro History Week. Black History Month. So, of course, we had to have a black story. And the black story was, of course, on my page because I am black. And this kid who I was editing, this kid who was the same age as me, who I was editing had set up a scenario around a dinner table and a conversation around a dinner table of a black family. And I remember you know, whatever they were talking about, and I had edited it and I had handed it to my editor-in-chief, and there were these two white boys, rich, because everybody was rich. They were either professors' kids or doctors' kids or just rich. And, or the teacher's kids and not, which is a different irony. And so I remember the two of them, and I was in there with my friend Michelle, and they said to each other, what do black people talk about at dinner? And one of them said it to the other one, and he said, basketball and watermelon. And I was like, and what I remember is my friend Michelle, like, I was confused because I hadn't expected to hear that in this like bastion of liberal thought, you know? And I remember we had to take my friend Michelle out of the room and calm her down. And I wasn't as mad as I was shocked by it. Like, I didn't ever expect to hear that at lab school. I just didn't. And I guess it was an easy aside, but it wasn't inclusive. It didn't have anything to do with the black people in the room. They didn't even think about it when they said it. And I was like, right, like, don't forget where you are. Like, don't ever forget, don't let your guard down to think that somebody's not going to have something racist to say to you. You know, because I think I was angry, but I was angry that I was shocked. Like, that's what made me angry. And then I was angry because I'm not supposed to be shocked. You know, like, why would you be? Why would I be? Why would I be shocked that two fucking upper class men and these boys who don't have to understand the intricacies of racism, that they would be nonchalant about it? Why not? What's the point? You know what I mean? Like, what's the point of getting mad about it? And what's the point of being shocked about it, but then really disappointed that I shouldn't be shocked about it? You know, it was like a bubble that was burst, that I was in this place where I could actually be me and not have to think about race and not have to think about white people as white people and not just see them as people. I mean, and what we did was, with my friends, luckily, was we turned it all around. You know, like, we actively acknowledge race. And so therefore, we're clear on each other, on ourselves, on, you know, we're clear that we're different and that we are of different races and life operates differently. But I am blessed enough to have the friends who will talk about it.
A lot is going wrong in America while we're all fighting about race, sexuality, and all this other stuff. A lot of people of all different races and wealth are creeping in the back door doing all kinds of shit while we're arguing about bullshit.
With their thumbs up our booty hole.
Right. Making us argue like puppets.
So...
And that's what I think America needs to realize. We're being played.
Totally played.
You know, the racism, the bigotry, and the issues with money, it's all built to keep...
small minds.
Yes.
It's built to keep small minds busy.
Yeah.
You know, and to keep small minds from actually looking around and being like, I don't want to make cans. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, wait a minute, this is some bullshit. I don't want to fucking make cans. You know, I want to be a painter. Yeah, the one thing that we as humans all share, the one thing that every single human being on this planet has in common, at least one of them, is that we all have choices. You know, even in those moments when you feel like, when you hear these stories about people who come from real bullshit and they made a choice, then there are people who are in some real bullshit and they make a different choice, or they feel like they don't have any. There's always a choice. Now, you can still make that choice. I can choose to, you know, walk into, you still have to do your work though, right? And so I can walk into, you know, a publishing house and be like, and I want a book. You know what I mean? And I
publish a book.
I want to publish a book. Well, have you written this book? I have not. You know?
Perfect analogy.
You know what I mean? Like, you can still...
That's what freedom is.
That's what...
In this country, we haven't written the book.
We haven't written the book at all.
No. We started, it's like one of those, you ever have a file on your computer? That's what freedom is. Some shit you started, you look at it, you're like, oh, this was pretty good.
Several files on my computer.
And then you're like, oh, this is terrible, because it's too difficult.
Right. But what we would do in high school is, like, it would be a Filipino, an Indian, an Iranian, or Persian, the black girl, the Chinese girl, the Hispanic, you know, like all of us sitting around. And what we do is we would call each other out on our stereotypes. You know, and so for Shrinali, it's like, oh, you didn't wear your dot on your head today. And she was like, oh, I was too busy frying some chicken for you. Like,
but see, if we could do that, we'd see the ridiculousness of it.
It's silly. Right? It's silly. And it doesn't mean that we don't have our cultural differences, but it doesn't mean that resistance is futile. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that we all have to assimilate. We keep our shit.
Right.
Acknowledge that we all have these different things. But when they all come together, that's what life is supposed to be, to me.
Right.
You know, that's where it gets beautiful. You know,
in the difference,
and in the acknowledgement of the difference, and not the forcing into, you know, it's like American.
Well, saying that the difference is somehow is what, you know, there's the whole theory of, well, we're all the same. No, we're not, and that's what's fucking awesome. And if you would let yourself enjoy that, you know, it's like going to different restaurants.
Yeah.
No one eats the same food every night.
No. Right. And
there's tons.
But the other side is, you know, Americans will go to a different country and stay in a Hilton. You know what I mean? It's like, why would I want to do that? Now, some people, they feel
safer. They feel safer.
And that's what they do. Like, their vacation is,
makes
and their vacation, or like whatever the resort is, like, you left America to go to America? Like, what's the point of that? You know, but how I travel is different. But that's also why I can't travel with some of my best friends. It doesn't mean that I don't want to still stay in a resort randomly. You know, it's like, yeah, I like good shit too. I like good shit. But I found that the more I stayed in that kind of environment, the more I yearned for more from an experience. So it's like, sure, I got my passport stamped that I went there, but was I there really? Or was I in an American version of whatever
of being there?
Right.
Right.
You know, I don't want it to be Americanized for me. So, and so I tend to, when I used to have the money to travel more than I do now, like then I want to find an apartment, or I want to find, you know, when we go to Mexico, we stay literally in a hut on the beach. It's now becoming a little fancier, but nonetheless.
Well, it's like when in Rome, do as the Romans do.
You know, but it's no electricity. That at least makes me feel like I'm kind of roughing it. But then I have a friend who will not stay in anything below a 4-star. She has to have air conditioning. She has to have cable TV in her room. And you know what I mean? Like, I guess. But that's her. But, you know, that's her.
I mean, I'll rough it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I like to rough it at the Four Seasons.
You know what I mean? I don't mind that too. I'm still going to get a nice apartment. You know what I mean?
Well, that's different. That's even better than the Four Seasons, I think. And
but it doesn't mean that if I can, I wouldn't spend some time at a Ritz-Carlton.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Cute.
Like, I'm not right. For sure. You know.
Cute.
Like, real
Legs
cute.
up.
Legs up. Like, hey. You know? Take me to the rough part of town, sweetie darling.
In a car.
In a car.